King. Hail Selassie I. Today, speaking about internet. Internet, the World Wide Web, www. This is a place of war, and as this spider web is on my nose, so are the Babylon on you. This is not something that just miraculously appeared. This is a form of magic. The pagans practiced in the days of old. Even the basis of the internet is arithmetic, mathematics, and this being something that the Babylon had developed by way of their stars. Their stars represent their gods. And so develops the internet. The binary code, bia, which is the zeros and ones in which you see your display. So everything is based on these codes. This has become the new language. Language is used to exclude people. As time moves, people began to learn the language, and there's need for new words. That's why more and more words are coming out of. There's not much transparency as to how the process works, but every year more words are made in the English language. People seek a simple language to communicate that reflects our way of life in servitude of Lord. The English is the language of the witch, and the New Age is the language of the computer. So those that know how to use computers effectively will leverage their position, and their voices will be heard over others. Again, a way of excluding. But this is a development that is almost ancient, and with respect to the computer, almost ancient. And the purpose of this project is to watch people, that these scientists that call themselves social scientists are in the business of obtaining as much data as possible. And this has allowed the access, particularly now through the smart device. Remember, device of violence, warfare. This data is analyzed, and various maps and charts and other images reflect the population. Many of these scientists are concerned with trends and groups of populations as opposed to individuals. However, when an individual is a problem, they become an outlier. And these scientists are looking for these dots that are outside the norm to study. Now, moving in the future now, this is connected with DNA, so that the codification is done based on the activities of individuals, which then becomes the DNA. And this can change. Obviously, people do different activities. But what they're basing it on is mostly these paper trails, where they're following people's searches on the computer, they're following people's connections, who their contacts are, who they talk to. And again, they're using all this data. It's called big data or mega data to follow trends. Now, their narrative, their counter narrative, reverse psychology is, if you aren't doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide. That's problematic because they make the laws, and they even have secret laws. Now, who are they? Because everybody asks. Well, the designers of the internet, or the beneficiaries, and this coming out of places such as the Pentagon. If it's military, they're getting paid through mostly corporations to hide the money flow of the individuals themselves, without focusing on the individuals, because that's the trick, is that you're not supposed to say they, because then you sound less credible. They this. I was making a video and I heard the girl say something about they made us in their image, or they made us in God's image. So it's very common for people to use that word. But however, when you start using names, then you become liable somehow. So it's their system, their rule. And the wealthiest folks, we can call the world classes, had this plan long time in the making. The crises, the world crises between the nations is mostly fabricated, whereas you need a constant enemy, some opposition, so you can continue to fund the projects that develop this technology. This is something that was designed to spy on people, and is designed to spy on people. The scare that these world classes now have is that people are no longer using the devices, and they're inputting faulty data because they're aware. Amazingly enough, when they found out how it worked, and the world classes were laughing. They were laughing because they knew what they were doing, and they knew that other people didn't realize it. as obvious as it was. So even when the revelations come out by way of their own a whistleblower, you have that pushback. You know, to say, oh yeah, this is happening and this is why, and all that dancing. Now people are actually aware of it because they've had to put the information out. One of the biggest fears of the world classes is if they don't put the information out, somebody else will, and that becomes a problem, because if it comes to be true, and other people are aware that somebody else was speaking about this, and probably getting dissed or labeled, you know, conspiracy theory, crazy, paranoid, druggy, you know, delusional, and all this stuff, just to make people turn away. You know, then that's it's hard to cover that up. They can write history as they have, as much as they can, but now with their own devices, as the scripture foretells, have turned against them. When the people are pulling out their smartphones and you coming along, their devices turned against them, as foretold. People really, it's time to see how their devices work against them. This is the process, to learn the origin and the application of the devices. Then you can start to discover these things. Process of codification. Everyone is seeing, you know, another version. You know, the information that's being presented to them is the image of the beast, and that beast is in the beast likeness, which is in man. And so the man discovered that he could form this code so that he could detect what it is he assumes people prefer to see. However, there's a catch, because it's not always what people prefer to see. That's what they want you to believe. Sometimes it's what they prefer for you to see. So they use this language about rabbit holes and the AI as if it's random. But the AI is programmed and it can be changed. Who has the key? The world classes. And they're looking for what they call the perfect DNA. They even have, from my knowledge, these religions now say, oh, the DNA was perfect, now it's imperfect. And they think that they're basically perfect, and they could get other people to think like them, however, without sharing their wealth. So in other words, the people just have to be perfect slaves, and they're going to find those perfect slaves. The trans people are candidates. They're doing what they're told. They get a job, they're not working for that much, mostly. They're doing what they're told, they're ready for the chip. You can call this transition. Transition. They like to get the world classes, everybody on board. This is that DNA. They're going to use big data analysis to discover what code affects what people in which way to form this. The internet is supposed to take place of reality in their mind. More and more people spend more time in front of screens. The children are susceptible, as they always were, and the information is being fed to them. There's no opening for transparency. Everything is just being done. There's something called troll bots that are spreading hate and causing rage, even perhaps at supremacist rallies. And it's all being done in the name of this AI. Artificial intelligence. And so the world classes no longer have to do the work. If, let's say for example, there's a problem, an individual, there has to be assigned a case manager, and they're going to have to follow this person. Every single electronic device this person might be connected with, they get a signal when that device is on. And also, if other devices, you know how they have the Pokemon Go, well, that's just to pinpoint the RFID. For every time the person plays the game, they're doing the work for the Babylon. And that Pokemon Go will RFID the spot. So if a device comes into your house, it might not be yours, it can be turned on and listened to. I believe the battery's going to die. So I'll try to wrap this up. Everybody's being spied on, no matter what they say about, protecting people. The folks that are doing the spying are the worst criminals, because they're the ones that have the most wealth. What are criminals doing? Criminals are trying to get, sometimes they're trying to survive. But most criminals, they're trying to get up. They want to get a little money up, really down. But yet, if you base that, logic on reality, you'll see the wealthiest people are worst. And some are worse than others. Let's not take that away. Yet, could those people on the bottom know what the wealthy people do through their day, as they do about ours, if you use that device especially? And now, because of street cameras in the stores, they're going to follow you, plus other people's devices, as I mentioned. Peter Thiel founded Facebook. He has the company that gets all the data from all the police throughout the country, and that data is distributed to whoever's connected. So it is an organized crime, cartel, and we have to learn how they operate and then use their tools against them.